Well, gaming is expensive now. Steam Machine super expensive, Steam Deck super expensive. Those are the only two that I would actually consider as like an everyday, because they're kind of made for the everyday man. It's very expensive. So what does actually living with a Switch 2 as your daily driver feel like, as someone who does that? First, let's set some expectations. Let's go into what the Switch 2 isn't, and then what it is, and how living with it can, be this or that. Again, I'm basing this off of a Steam Deck experience. That's pretty much the only daily driver I've used since, and I think that for most people that is the comparison, or was the comparison at some point before the prices set in. Let's talk about what the Switch 2 isn't. It isn't the most powerful. I can play this game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, on my PlayStation 5 Pro, and it's going to look way better. I could play it on my PC, and it's going to look even better than that. Switch 2 is not the most powerful. Never was supposed to be, but we're gonna push that further to the is category. 2, the Switch 2 isn't capable of playing any sort of streaming service, Netflix, Crunchyroll, any of that. So you're not gonna be able to do that on your Switch 2. It also doesn't have desktop mode. So what you get is what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Although, if you make Nintendo Switch 2 YouTube videos online, I think part of it is throwing a fit. I think you need to do that. It helps. Still trying to figure out how to throw a fit. Lastly, the Switch 2 isn't the answer to all your problems, but I think that a lot of us are old enough to understand that there are a lot of other things out there that are more important than the Switch 2. But today we're talking about what it's like to live with the Switch 2. So let's talk about what it is. Well, one more isn't. It isn't comfortable. So if you want some good accessories, I have a video I'll link at the end that'll tell you how to make it a little bit more comfortable. And they're currently my loadout, and I haven't changed them. What is the Switch 2? The Switch 2 is future-proof. It's not that powerful, but it's optimized. And what I learned over the past, few months, and if you're watching this when it came out, in a few months, if not, it came out during the summertime of 2026, is that the Nintendo Switch 2 is very important to publishers and to developers and to studios and whatever you want to call any of them. I'm not hip with the lingo, so I just kind of go with what I think it should be called. People are making games for the Switch 2. The third-party support is insane. I mean, part of the reason why I was a little bit frustrated with the last Direct, the June Direct, was because this guy, I wanted more of this guy. I just wanted more of this guy. I like this guy. I really like this guy, but he wasn't there. He wasn't there, and that's fine, right? Because what I learned from this was Elden Ring is gonna show up. Along with that, we have seen Capcom decide that they're gonna make some crazy decisions. Ubisoft's trying to get their games on there. All these huge studios, whether you love them or hate them, are dumping money into getting games onto the Switch 2. And something that I never thought in my wildest dreams would be a part of the Switch 2 repertoire is Square Enix, who is notorious for making extremely bad ports. Some of them are rough. Maybe that's just for PC, but I'll tell you what, dude. Square Enix ain't the best at doing that. Now, some people, obviously, those who scream online, are gonna be like, oh, they're just money hungry. They're just trying to get the games, that people are gonna buy for the 15th time. Hey, that's just good marketing. Kingdom Hearts released for the 9th time? Yeah, I'm gonna buy it. But what I'm seeing is, and this is the writing on the walls, a lot of investment in the system. And so if I put my eggs in a basket, because at this point with the prices of everything, you only can afford one basket, I'm gonna want a basket that has spots for eggs. Not, no eggs. Or some eggs, or rental eggs. Rental eggs. Game Pass. That was a Game Pass reference. Yeah, I get it. Key cards. I understand. Now, there is a dirty little word that a lot of us don't like to use, and that's the word compromise. And there are definite compromises when it comes to something like a Nintendo Switch 2 that I think if you were to set your expectations, you would be able to fancy yourself a better gaming experience overall. One of those compromises is, yes, right here I'm playing a game that I have played like 4 times now at a resolution and a frame rate that is... the last time I played it, it was on PC. That PC experience was 4K, 120 frames per second. Now, if I really think about it, I'm playing it probably at 1080p upscaled and 30 frames per second. But here is the big part of this that I think is often overlooked. The gaming experience that I am having is one that is inferior to the gaming experience I had before, statistically. But it is superior to the gaming experience I had before, because when I played this before, my gaming needs were much different. I think what is more important to understand when it comes to all of this stuff around gaming is not just your life changes, but your interests as well as your wants change. Something that I realized as time went on is my desire to experience games in long bouts is far less than it was just years ago. The gaming that I'm participating in is one that allows for me to choose when I get to do it. My life is extremely modular. Things change and are always all over the place. And I know that when I want to sit down to play a game, because in that moment I'm like, let's do it, I can grab it and I can do it. And if there's a moment where I'm like, you know what, let's make this experience just a little bit more juicy, I can do the exact thing that I just said. I can make it a little bit more juicy. I'm not gonna have to worry about optimization or changing settings or whatever. I can just do the thing. The cost is frames. The cost is resolution. But that cost is far more affordable, one, than the real dollar amount, or two, the time that it takes to make this experience equivalent and better, if that makes any sense. Hey, it's not lost on me. I get it. The whole Nintendo Switch 2 niche is a really easy way for me to find a little corner that I can talk about, understanding that YouTube isn't the best representation of everyday life and it's somewhat fabricated. I get that criticism. I understand it. But if I'm just gonna take off, I can't take it off because my mic's right here, but take off the YouTuber hat and put on like the real person hat, two of my most prized possessions, right? I don't value many things in this world that are just, things, but there are a couple that are very important to me. One was the year my son was born. My wife made this. She wood burned in, best dad ever, hands down, and then had them put their handprints right there. Very, very great. And then this year, she got me this with my kids. My daughter gave it to me. Number one dad, little plastic finger that probably got at Target. These things are so valuable to me, so valuable to me. And in order to experience more of that, my time gets poured into that. I still do have hobbies I like to participate in. And one of those hobbies is playing video games, but that has changed over the years. Over the years, a lot has changed. In the past 6 years alone, I have 2 more children. In the past 11 years, I have a wife and 2 children. And in the past 20 years, I have a complete career shift from being a barista to being a business owner. So much can change. But there is one thing that is unchanging about the Nintendo experience. They simply want to be the thing that is in your hands to enjoy for the moments that you enjoy them. And when you're finished enjoying them, they can pause. They pause to get out of your way. That is fantastic for someone who is busy, for someone who values their time, and for someone who wants experiences like these. Nintendo pauses to get out of my way, whereas gaming just about anywhere else asks me to pause so that I can experience theirs. This is the experience that you have on Nintendo Switch 2. It is compromised, it is not as powerful, but it is complementary, and most of all, it is intended to be a companion, not a contender for your attention. So let me know what you think about this, and if you're getting a Steam machine. I'm not. But most of all, play more and be kind. Cheers.